I'm really happy to have you join us this morning for today's service. Our online community is a very important part of Unity and Marin's ministry, and know that we're available for you here, not only this morning, but you could always contact us at unityandmarin.org. But I also want to let you know that we have things going on here 7 days a week at Unity and Marin. So if you have any questions that come up, any concerns, anything you'd like to add, feel free to contact me, Bill Engelhart at unityandmarin.org. Enjoy the service. I welcome you to this contemplative service. And that beautiful music, I'm sure, has opened our hearts. I know it's opened mine. So on this day, in addition to opening our hearts, let us open our minds to something different. And let's affirm that Spirit is speaking to us and through us and as us on this day. So let us be open, open, and open.
Beautiful. You are all so beautiful. We're going to begin our service today by opening our arms to new members. So I invite Medora and Sam and our new members up onto the stage.
Good morning. Is it still raining, cats and dogs and small animals? No? I'm glad you're here this morning. Thanks for being here. New members are one of the greatest joys of what we do here. It's people who are committed to their spiritual journey and have decided to continue this journey in community, as do you. So please know that for membership in Unity, there is no requirement other than a desire to know God and to love and commit to growing and understanding of the laws of our very being. Unity has no prescribed doctrine or creed, except to say that each of us endeavors to live the truth and seeks divinity in every person, including ourselves. We are a community of truth seekers, each of us on our own unique spiritual journey, in our unity of purpose and our love of God. We believe that truth is revealed directly from Spirit, and that truth is the rock upon which we build our community. Last chance. For you who desire membership in Unity in Marin, please repeat after me. I dedicate and consecrate myself to the will and the work of the loving Spirit of truth and the unfoldment of my divine potential. Normally at this time, we yell and whistle and stomp and carry on, but because this is a meditative service, I would ask that you do all of that yelling and whistling and stomping and carry on quietly in your head, and that you raise your hands and wave and make great thank you as I read off the names. Cindy Acker. Cindy is our choir director, and we are thrilled to have her as a member. Melanie Carter. Melanie Carter is a member of many years, and she is renewing her commitment to the journey, as can any of you at any time. Beth Conroy. Beth is new. She has a daughter in youth and family. We're thrilled to have her here. John Crable. John is also new in the community, and again, we're so pleased. And then our Barbaras, Barbara Lane and Barbara Ross, all of whom are new to us, and we're thrilled to have you here. And now we are going to bless the new members. Again, I'll ask you to raise your hands, and as we say the prayer for protection, please use the word you. The light of God surrounds you, etc. Okay? Everybody ready? The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Amen. Thank you.
And welcome again. As Bill said, this is our contemplative service. It's something we've been experimenting with this year, every fifth Sunday. So we invite your feedback. But we do not create contemplative space alone. We all do it together. So I invite you right now to close your eyes and take a breath and quiet the mind and open your heart. The divine source and all that is good in it, love and joy and peace and harmony, is always available to us. It is always in and around us. It is simply our consciousness and awareness that needs a shift. We come back to remembering who we really are. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And as such, you have the capacity to be channels of divine love and wisdom. And so we open our awareness to that truth, and together we create this sacred and holy space. And so it is. Amen. So I invite you to be present now. Open your eyes and be here now. And right now I'd like to invite Reverend Bill up. He's going to share a special prayer.
Good morning. So during these services, we do something a little different, and that is that I'm going to invite someone to come up who wants to volunteer to pray with me right up here on the stage. One thing you need to know, you're praying with me on stage, everyone's going to know what you're praying about. Everyone here, everyone online, everyone watching on television, whatever, they're all going to know. That may be a little scary, but at the same point in time, I'm asking every person who does not come up here to hold the high watch and to pray with that person along with me. So you're getting hundreds and potentially thousands of people that are going to be praying with you about whatever it is that you want to pray about right here and right now. And I believe that is very powerful because we believe in the power of prayer. So if you're desiring to come up and pray with me, just raise your hand. Okay, all the way in the back. Why don't you say your first name?
Cynthia Ann,
Okay. And what would you like to pray about, Cynthia Ann?
a divine job.
Okay. Well, let's take a few centering breaths right here and right now. As this entire community enfolds you in love and light. And in this space, we lay claim to the truth that your right and perfect employment awaits you. It'll be a place where you have something to give and something to receive. And that organization will be blessed by your presence, knowing that what they need is what you have to give. And so both of you will be a blessing to each other. And we rest in this knowledge that what you're seeking is certainly seeking you. So we let go of any stress, strain, or anxiety around this process, knowing that your right and perfect job is manifesting, and that your job is to be open and receptive to it when it shows up. For we affirm it will show up, and it will be without limitation the best place for you and for them, and blessings abound. And so let us give thanks, all of us, right here and right now, in advance, for this right and perfect job, for this right and perfect employment. And we lay claim to it right now. And we say this in the name and through the power of the living, loving Spirit of God in you and in every person that's holding you in prayer for this right now. And so it is. Amen.
We believe in the power of prayer. I'd like to invite the prayer chaplain forward with our prayer box right now. We have witnessed the results of affirmative prayer over and over again. So if you would like to be prayed with here at Unity in Marin, you just put a prayer request slip in the prayer box, and a group of people here at Unity in Marin will pray with you for 30 days. Then we send the prayer requests on to Unity Village, to Silent Unity, where they will pray with you for 30 days as well. So take advantage of that. Thank you. And then I'd like all of our prayer chaplains to rise, please. Everybody who's available today. At the end of the service, if you would like to pray with one of our prayer chaplains, they will hold you in prayer just like Bill did. And so all you have to do after the service is over is go up to them and say, "Will you pray with me?" And they will say yes. Thank you, prayer chaplains. And we've lit a candle today, a ritual we engage in to remind us of the light that burns within us, the divine source. And so now we're going to enter into a time of meditation. We're not going to sing our statement of truth because I'm going to speak it for you. So I invite you to close your eyes now as we tune within. Create silence within. Quiet the mind so that you can deeply hear this truth. There is only one power and one presence active in your life and in the universe. God, the good, in all, through all, and over all. Imagine how your life would be if you lived it with this truth completely in mind. There is only one power and one presence active in your life: God the good. And now I share with you today's daily word, which is fitting following that statement, because it's intentions. The word for today is intentions. You see, because there is only one power and one presence, God the good, you have the power to set intentions that are loving, to set intentions that are joy-filled, to set an intention to be harmony in the world, to be a light in the world, to be a force for good in the world. We set the intention to be love in the silence. Oh, I can feel that. So we have 3 core commitments, but we're not going to recite them today, and we're not going to have any announcements, so you'll want to read your bulletin to see what's going on. But I want to talk about these core commitments we have, and the first is to connect, inspiring each other and the world. And it's not just a core commitment, actually, it's your job. Because, you cannot separate yourself from the divine source if you wanted to. It's in and around you always. You can never be separate from it. But you can feel separate, right? I've been on this spiritual path for 27 years, and there are still some times when I look at the news and see what's going on in the world, and I feel a little despair, We see people who are inciting others with anger and fear, and it can be a little disheartening. But here's the truth, and never give up on the truth, is that we have a power too. We have a greater power, in fact, because love is greater than fear. And love is more powerful than anger and hatred. And we have the capacity to incite love in others and to incite joy in others. And that's your job, to raise your awareness to connecting with the divine source and going out into the world to incite love and joy in others. And then the second core commitment is to grow in consciousness through education and prayer and healing. And what that really means is to change our consciousness of who we really are, to raise our spiritual vibration so that it radiates out in the world and affects others, whether they realize it or not. I'll tell you, I have stood in a grocery store and watched a patron start to argue with a clerk, and it's, harsh. And I would stand there and just silently start to radiate out love and peaceful thoughts, and have watched people calm down. And so when we grow in the awareness of who we really are, we go out in the world and we become a shining light. And that's how we change the world for the better. You can do it. And now I'd like to invite Renee to return to share your beautiful music.
Let's drink that in. I love the fact that today we're using these ancient instruments. Do you feel the resonance of that? When Renee got close to me, I could feel my body going like this. And it's not just with instruments that we feel resonance. It's with ideas. It's with situations and circumstances in our life. Congruencies that we connect with, that we feel resonance. And it's a vibration, because after all, we are all energy. And when we come in contact with other energy, we merge with it. I believe if we all came together to just meditate, that if we were to measure that meditation in a measurable way, like our heartbeats, that I believe our hearts would start to beat together. Because we are resonating with that energy. Now today we're here to unmask God. I don't believe in doing anything halfway. So how do we do that? Well, we happen to be a day away from Halloween. And where did that come from? That's a Druid tradition. And that Druid tradition comes from celebrating the New Year. And they celebrated the New Year on November 1st. And so New Year's Eve for them was Halloween. And they would have the celebration to honor the Druidic god of the dead. For them, it was certainly a time of transition from one year to another. And during this sacred time, they saw it as an opportunity where the veil between the living and the dead would part. And that the people that had died in the year prior, this was the last day, Halloween, then they would move on. And I ask us about our transition, our transitions in life. I'd ask us to contemplate, for this service is about contemplation, is to recall anyone that we know, friend, family member, companion, animal, that has passed on in the last year. And as they're moving on, do we have any words for them? Do we have any thoughts that we would like to share with them as we bid them well, moving into the next realm? Now, part of their tradition was that if these ethereal spirits had some kind of resentments, that what they would do is they may pull harmless pranks on us that day as they're moving on. But if they had bitterness and upset, that they may end up doing dangerous tricks on the living. So it's time to beware. So I'd ask us, what kind of resentments are we holding on to? what kind of anger or anxiety is within us. Because now is the time for us to release that anger, that anxiety, or those resentments. Because holding on to them, only we suffer when we do so. So today is as good a day as any to look at those resentments and angers and be able to say, today is the day that is going to pass from my being, and I'm no longer going to harbor those feelings in this life experience. Now, during that time, the people would dress up as ghosts during this New Year's Eve for them. They'd have a big feast, and at the end, they wore masks and costumes representing souls of the dead. And they paraded to the outskirts of town, ushering the ghosts away. What thought forms and habit patterns that are not in our highest and best good are we willing to parade to the end of town and to invite them to move on? Today is as good a day as any to do that. Maybe it's time for us to hospice those parts of ourselves that we need to let go of. Instead of fighting and trying to throw them out, to have more of a hospice attitude and to say they came for a reason. These thought forms and habit patterns came here for a reason, and that reason was most likely to protect us in some manner. It was a coping mechanism or a fear. Don't look under the bed or in the closet because it's there. So there are fears, and those fears came up to protect us on some level. But for us to be able to let them go means that we get to embrace them and say, thank you for being there. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I don't need protection anymore because that fear no longer rules me. You see, when we bring our fears from the darkness into the light, they lose their power. No matter what it may appear in the outer, how strong and together we may appear, if we are harboring some of those fears and we're afraid to look at them and we're doing everything we can to avoid them, and maybe that's by keeping busy or drinking or drugs or some kind of distraction so that we don't have to face them. We'll just deal with it by saying, I'm just never going to look there. Then that fear gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But once we have the courage to face those fears, to say that I'm not going to be ruled by those fears any longer, I'm not going to be afraid to go through this door or to do this thing because that fear may come up, then that fear goes from being overpowering to being smaller and smaller and smaller. Because fear guards the gate of our true happiness. And we don't get through fear by saying, I'm going to throw it away. We get through it by looking at it and saying, why are you here? What was the gift that you were giving me? And I'm no longer afraid because now I've befriended that feeling. And then I can just say, it's no longer necessary. That I'm okay, that means we're okay. And the fear can recede in peace. The whole idea of fighting our fears just creates more friction and anger and tension. And we want to transcend it. So we transcend it through peace, love, and inner harmony. Well, the whole idea of trick-or-treating goes back to what they think is early times in Ireland. And in Ireland, what would happen is that the peasants on this day would go house to house asking for money to buy delicacies for a feast. And they would request it in the name of their Druid deity or the saint, whoever would give you more money. And what they would do is they would bless the house that gave them more and curse the one that didn't. Beware the trick or treat. And the colors black and orange are not just about the giants. The color black represented death, and orange is the ripening of fruit. So you've got the transition here from death to ripening to birth. So on this holiday, there are oftentimes ghosts and goblins that come to your door asking for candy. They're wearing the little outer masks. And those masks, when I look at them, and I'm like, what do they represent? Oftentimes, as I've seen over the years, children come and they're dressed up as skeletons or ghosts, and so you get the head over there, the skull. And why is that? Because this is an opportunity for us to face our fears. And what's the greatest fear is this idea of death, of physical death. And so, for centuries, people have been dressing up that to kind of scare each other, to kind of get yourself out of this fear. But I often wonder why little kids don't come dressed up in suits with microphones. Because public speaking is the number one fear, right? Even more than death, right? Some things are too scary. And I would speculate we're not going to see any kids dressed up as presidential candidates this year either. I'll be talking more about that next week. So what did the Druids do to scare away these spirits? Is they carve scary faces and gourds. And then they put a candle in it, kind of like our pumpkins, you know. And that they'd use that to light their way and to scare the ghosts and goblins away. Now for us, whatever our fears are, we probably don't walk around with the carved up pumpkin with the light in it to light our way. But what do we do in unity? Is that instead of the carved up pumpkin to light our way, we use affirmations and denials. We deny the power of that fear to rule my life. And we affirm the truth of the Spirit within each and every one of us. Goes before us, is us, not just in us, but the Spirit of God is us in expression. That is the light that we carry with us. No matter what the situation or circumstance, that is the light that we have. And I know there are times when we are afraid. I know there are times when we lack faith. And I know there are those times when we feel small. And so we can think of this light, and we think our light is just this little flicker inside of us. It's at those times we need to be in community with each other, to be in community with other people whose light is large, who can see the truth of who we are in spite of the appearance. We want to surround ourselves with bright lights. And so if you're not facing one of those situations that's challenging right now, you get to be that bright light for someone else. So when they come to you, don't turn your light down to match theirs. Don't have a pity party or a victim party or an oh, that's horrible party. We need to tune it up. And so you come in and say, you know, I know the appearance is X, and I'm here for you because I believe in you. I believe you will come through this. Happy, healthy, peaceful, and prosperous, for you are strong. I see it in you, and I hold that for you. And when you're in a group of people that are holding that for you, your light goes up. It doesn't go down, it just starts to go up, and then you start feeling better. And so if you find yourself with your light dimming, be with people who can hold that for you, the truth. Because, on the flip side, there's going to come a time when someone's coming to you and their light is small, and you get to be that person for them. You get to be the truth and hold the truth and be God in action. So what ghosts are we truly afraid of? I would ask each and every one of us to think about what our fears are. And what are those ghosts? What scares us? What's behind it? I believe Krishnamurti said it best when he said this: one is never afraid of the unknown. One is afraid of the known coming to an end. Sometimes we live in impossible situations, but are afraid to move beyond them. Because no matter how impossible the situation is in the known, and sometimes we'd rather stay there because it's the known. I know this. Instead of moving. So let us let go of the known and move into the unknown with faith, with love, and with harmony in our hearts. Now, we all wear masks. We can call them personas. Different times, different situations and circumstances call for different personas. We think we have to put on this mask for friends and family, and then we put this mask on for the first date mask. Anybody know what that is? I'm perfect. I'll be whatever you want me to be, so you like me. Right? That's a mask. That's a persona. Of course, that doesn't last either. No, it doesn't. But we put these on and we take them off all the time. I'd like to ask ourselves to contemplate this question, because the only reason we take on a persona is that we perceive there is some kind of a reward. Oh, well, if I act like them, they'll be my friends. So I'll act like them. They'll say things I don't really agree with or like, but I'll act like I do because I want them to be my friends. I'm putting on that persona. And when we do that, what's the cost? The cost is we are not being authentic. And we know it. And we feel it. And we go through life feeling like a fraud. And that is suffering. So what are the rewards that we have per mask? And to recognize that none of those rewards are as rewarding as being who we really are, as embracing our authentic selves. That is where the gold is. That is where joy and love and the peace that knows no other understanding. No one else can understand it. We get to feel it when we are who we are meant to be. And who you are is enough. It's more than enough. When I was in Disneyland last week, on Wednesday night, they have this thing where it's kind of a pre-Halloween celebration, where not only are all the characters dressed up, Mickey Mouse, etc., but you go dressed up. So the whole park is filled with everybody in costume. Every person who's there comes in costume. It's quite the sight. I guess Star Wars is really popular again because I've never seen so many Princess Leias. They were like this, all right. But as I was standing there and watching everybody move from young to old, and they have all their costumes on and their masks, and it just reminded me of all those different personas that we have and that we put on and take off. And there's a danger in that sometimes we put on a persona and we think that's who we really are. But personas come and go. The truth of who we are is solid as a rock. And it's up to us to root ourselves in that truth. Because do we recognize who we are without the masks? When we're with people, get this mask, this mask, this mask. Who am I? You are God in expression. This is about unmasking God. You are God in expression. You're God's hands and feet. You're God's compassion. You're God's love in action. So if we're going to unmask God, it really means us taking off the personas, taking off the masks, taking off the pretending, and not being afraid to be who we really are and to say what we need to say in any particular moment and come from that heart space. That is how we unmask God. And if we think of God as this life energy within us, I'm going to quote Charles Fillmore from 1923. And he was always ahead of his time. And he said things that rocked people in 1923 that are still rocking us now. Are you ready? All right, so here it goes. God only does what man says he shall do. God is our servant. Did you ever think of that? That this wonderful Spirit of God, out of which everything is made, is here at all times and is present with us, and that we are using that God. I feel the earthquake happening. God is our servant. Think of, if you have a hard time with that term, God. Life energy is our servant. How are we using the life energy that we have? We can manifest whatever it is that we truly desire because we are manifestors. We can bring about great things in our lives, and we can bring about major challenges in our lives. We are that good. You can't have that principle that only works one way. So we see the principle in action. It should remind us, even on the negative side, that, whew, I really manifested this, and I can see where my attitude really brought this to here. If that's the truth, well, then the good news is if I can bring myself down over here, I can bring myself up over here. That's what it means to unmask God, is to embrace our own unlimited potential and to live from that place. That's like going from one world to another. Like the Druids thinking, well, here's the time that the veil is thinner and people can pass through. Well, our life experience can be completely changed if we pass through the ideas of lack and limitation to love and abundance. And that's truly a treat for the ages. I'm going to say our denial first, and then I'll ask you to say it with me. My persona masks do not define me. Together? My persona masks do not define me. And then I'll say the affirmation, and then we can say it together. I shed each mask of personality to reveal the authentic me. Together? I shed each mask of personality to reveal the authentic me. Now I invite you to take out your tithes and love offerings and envision them as treats, not tricks. As we place them into the basket here today, do so with love in our hearts, because it's a gift to be able to give. And in the moment of giving, we receive. So let's bless these gifts. Let's give them, know that they're blessing us, the community, and the world. And so it is.
In staying in alignment with Reverend Bill's talk, I'd like to share with you a song. Comes from a sacred word from the Kashaya Pomo, just up north, maybe a couple of hours. The sacred word is called Weya. Weya. And Weya means nurturing, healing energy. So, according to Lawrence Smith, who's the Kashaya Pomo elder, Weya is the energy that's all around us. It moves through us. It's the love that loves through us. So, as you sing the word Weya, if you can allow yourself to feel the resonance in your throat and in your chest, and resonate your cells or any place in your body that needs the extra assistance. Maybe it's in the form of forgiveness. And once you feel saturated in Weya, extend that out to your ancestors. For all the things that perhaps, all the beautiful things that they've done, and maybe some of the mistakes they've made. We can bring Weya to them, and it's good. Because one day we'll become ancestor spirits, yeah. So I'll sing it, and you'll catch it, and you're welcome to hum and sing it with me, too. And this is a spirit chaser.
Can you feel that? That is a beautiful example of inciting love in others. So we're going to say our love offering blessing together, but before we do, I would like you to bring to mind a time when you felt really prosperous or really grateful. And I want you to feel that energy in your body and in your heart. Okay? And from that place, let us bless this offering. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Thank you, ushers. And if this is your first time here visiting us today, we welcome you. And if you're watching online for the first time, you can call the office or email for a welcome packet. But if you're here in this room, our welcome team has a packet for you. So if you'd like to receive that, just raise your hand if this is your first time here, and they will find you. And keep your hand up until they do find you and give you a packet. Welcome, we're glad you're here. We love to share this sacred and beautiful community with others because most people in this room today will tell you this community transformed their life for the better. And so we invite you to be a part of that. There's a sheet on the front of the welcome packet that you can fill out and hand to Mary Gale in the courtyard. And she'll give you a CD of today's service, if you like, and you can get on our mailing list if you like to do that. So welcome, we're glad you are here. And our final core commitment is to serve. And this is the value that is about Unity's fifth principle, which is it's not just enough to know the truth and to understand the truth. We need to live it, because in living it, that's how we change our world for the better. So I invite you to be of service in some way. And you know, one thing I've discovered even in this loving and supportive community, sometimes people feel disconnected still. And one of the best ways you can have a sense of connection to community is to be of service to it. Become an usher, get on the welcome team, help in the hospitality area. You know, any way that you can be a part of a group that's of service to this community, you will be blessed by it. And so we remember to serve. All right, so I invite you now to stand as we close the service with the prayer for protection. Oh yeah, if you enjoyed Renee's music today, he's doing a sound blessing at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And I'm telling you, you didn't get to hear all the instruments because he played different ones in both services. So I invite you to be a part of that. Okay, together. Now, can we do the prayer for protection? We know it. Okay. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And let's close with our peace song.
Amen. Happy Halloween. Thank you for sharing your spiritual energy with us today. We appreciate you and look forward to your continued connecting with Unity in Marin, online or in person. Namaste.